again, race fans, and welcome to another round of IndyCar action right here on VirtualRacing.Network. So glad to have you along with us as we get set for 85 laps of action. It's round 2 of the 2021 Season 4 iRacing IndyCar Series FIXED from Nashville Super Speedway in Lebanon, Tennessee in the United States. Pleasure to have you with us. My name is Trevor Greenfield, and I will be calling all the plays all day long, but I'll also be joined alongside by none other than the legendary now, Gary Godso. Great to have you with us here, Gary, for another great day of action here in the IndyCar Series.
First visit of the track later, but this is a new track, new to the service, and it's the first time the series have been here, and just like any first time for anything, it only happens once, and so one of these drivers, one of these lucky 24, will be the first winner at this track, and you can only be a first winner, so he'll go down, and he or she could go down in the annals of history along with Ray Haroon and Buddy Lazier, who won the first race here.
Who won the very first race here? You bet. That's some very interesting history here at the Speedway for sure. Also in that list, Alex Barron, another name you wouldn't necessarily associate with winning a race in the IndyCar Series, and yet he did, and he did so right here at Nashville Super Speedway. It took some years off, actually, kind of interesting, and now it's coming back onto the schedule, so let's see if we can get on board with someone who's still going around. Here's Octavio Rondeletto, who's just finished his lap. These drivers all getting out there real fast. Let's take a look over here at, actually, we'll see Hugo Olsen finish his lap for Team Power Slide. And Hugo goes right to the top of the board. It is a 23.40. Hugo taking pole position. You know, I heard from a lot of other drivers ahead of time, Gary, that it looks like this race is going to be all about track position and making sure that you get at the front of this field because of how difficult it's going to be to pass in these Dallara IR-18 IndyCars.
Yeah, and the full run is about 60 laps that they can do on a single tank, but I'm also finding that these tires are just simply, they'll last, but you're not going to be very good in those in the last 10 laps of that run. So you'll see a lot of them probably pit before or right at lap 50, get those tires off, get new ones on, and go to the finish. The race I saw on Monday, ironically, did not have very many cautions, so I was kind of expecting quite a few, being a new track, being single groove, and also it has what I call the apron of death. So we'll see. But these guys are, like you said last week, very talented. They know what they're doing, and maybe we'll go see another long run like we did last week at Kentucky.
You bet. We could see another long run like that, or we may see a bunch of cautions like has been happening in some of the practice that some of these drivers have been doing, some of the races ahead of time. Of course, this is not the only scheduled race. You get to do these races about every 2 hours on the service, but this is being a high strength of field race, and that's what the drivers want to show up for if you want to do the championship. So on pole position, we are going to have Adriano Penero on pole, excuse me. I'm trying to mess with the software here in the background. For some reason, it's not wanting to pop up. But nevertheless, go ahead and go through the running order, if you would, for me there, Gary.
Sure. And Adriano actually was brought into the Lionheart community this week. So he will be joining their ranks here, probably on their IR-18 series. We're looking forward to seeing him. He is currently provisionally on the pole with a time of 23.35. That equates to 205.516 miles per hour around a 1.333 mile oval. They are smoking. We got Pinero, Olsen, Wilhite, Franzoli, the Muscle Man, Ike, Urman, Reed, Silva. My timing and scoring just went down too. We got Francis, Rondoletto, Nacho, Christensen, Thomas Geisler, Benito, Cordier, Silva, Stedman. I've raced with him before. McQuarrie, Schreiber, Alexis Newsom. Wow, she's way in the back. This is gonna be. We're gonna watch her and see how fast she can get forward. Wayland, Gagne, and Warhurst.
Well, that will be your starting lineup as we get ready to go here in Nashville. And we're going to be doing, as I mentioned, 85 laps. Should be an awesome race today. So we can get it up onto your screen here.
Just tell you with the...
and there we go, folks. We are back.
All right.
Just, you know, you can practice this stuff 1,000 times, but when it's time to go live, that's when the bolts start shaking out of the car and you start hearing noises you never heard before, Gary.
Yep.
So, yeah, just to recap last week, we had a very interesting battle that went on. Basically, as we wait for everyone to make their way here onto the grid...
Pole sitters taking their time, and also I think P24 is not gridded up yet. They might not start, or they might opt to start from the pits.
There we go. We can start to see everybody out there. So, the way that it ended up last week, Jorge Varela ended up winning the race, and I took a look at this earlier. We'll show you the points here in a minute, but something very interesting did happen on the way to this week, and that is Jorge, of course, coming in first, Nacho LDR finishing second, and then Jesper Orman finishing third. Unfortunately, Javier ran too many races last week. It was actually the 5th race of the week that he competed in our Broadcast Thursday race, and then ran another race, the 6th race of the week, and he only got 25 points for that. So while if he had just raced in our race, because it was a high strength of field, he would have had the most points and led the points coming into this week, but he ends up 5th starting this week, and so he's going to have to climb out of that hole. I guess we're going to be ready to go here. Adriano going to be bringing us down to the green flag as we get set for round 2 here in Nashville, Gary.
Here we go. Let's see if they get single file down into turn 1.
Green flag.
And we go green. No problems thus far. We see Chris Willite possibly trying to take a look down the inside of Hugo Olsen. Not able to do anything with that. Everybody kind of settling in. Rodrigo Franzoni now up 2 spots already. Sorry, just 1 spot now as Chris Willite has slid back. AJ Musselman now up into the 5th spot. Well, actually, that's where he started as well. Andreas Ike running in 6th. Jacob Reed up a spot. Now Pablo Diaz Frances has now passed him up 2 spots. Now 3 spots make it already.
Yeah, let's look in the back there and watch Alexis Newsom already up to 19th. She is the car on the move at the moment. I'm sure she's going to want to waste as little time as possible back there with all those cars and letting these tires go to waste.
Exactly. You got to plan out exactly when you want to take those tires. Of course, again, you can only take 3 sets of tires. Probably not going to be as big of a factor today. So we take a look at the weather. It is just 102 degrees Fahrenheit on the track. Not the hottest we've ever seen. We do have a yellow.
And there is a multi-car wreck right there at the tri-oval area. I'm willing to bet. Oh, it almost picked up the second half of the entire field. It looked like someone bounced off the wall right off of turn 4, possibly getting loose. And we have a calamity in turn 4 at the moment.
An absolute calamity. I'm trying to sort this one out. Thomas Geisler involved. Cristiano Benevenuto involved. AJ Musselman involved. Numerous drivers having an issue just as we were starting to look back towards Alexis Newsom there. Well, let's go back and see if we can figure out what happened. We've got so many off tracks. I don't even know where to start. My first off track begins with Octavio Rondoletto, who's in the green and white car here at the center of the screen. Now he goes off track to avoid. We'll see if we can stop it here and maybe back it up and see where this one truly began. My goodness.
Oh, there it is. AJ Musselman One of the Nikkei cars got into his left rear, sent him around, and that collected the second half of the field.
Absolutely right. That would be the number 7 of Pablo France's Necky Racing driver, and then that collected the 12 of Jacob Reed.
A little bit of net code there, but still, there probably was going to be contact anyways, and that is most unfortunate, really unfortunate for basically the second half of the field. We don't have fast repairs here, so if any of these cars get damaged, they're going to have to fix it out in the pits, or if it doesn't look like they're damaged and then they went through the grass like Alexis Newsom did, who knows what damage you have to the under tray. So this has now turned into a very interesting race. Kind of reminiscent now of an 80s kart race where we're going to have a small field going forward.
It almost looked like the start of the US 500 from not that long ago. Yeah, AJ Musselman, unfortunately, he started so well, looked so good at the start of this one, getting caught up in that one and possibly tossed sideways. Another major championship implication. Jesper Orman, your third place finisher last week, he came in second place in the points, and he's going to leave here a lot worse off. He also
Ouch.
caught against the outside wall and going to have to take some repairs on pit lane.
I already have cars doing strategy on the racetrack right now. Here, a couple of them already burning fuel. So I think they're trying to lighten up, and maybe they are thinking about hitting that early pit stop rather than the late pit stop.
Well, this is obviously not what you want to see if you were planning for that green flag run, and you were working out all your fuel mileage and trying to get to the very end on exactly fumes. But nevertheless, you got to adapt, and you've got to look at what's happening in the race and your opportunities. Only 6 laps into this, yeah, you didn't really burn off too much fuel. You didn't burn off too many tires. I can see why the very top 14 drivers have chosen not to come in. That being said, if you look at the tail end of the lead lap, it's actually Jim Wallen. We'll flash the camera back there. Oliver Silva and Alexis Newsom, who manages to keep on the lead lap despite, I believe, just barely avoiding that lead lap incident by going down and getting out of the way. She turned
her Dallara into a bit of a Chevy lawnmower there and went right down the tri-oval area, kept it straight. It's so easy to lose it in there. And then what happens is that you spin on the pit road, and then you get that black flag for the unsafe pit entry. And so it's like a double whammy, and she managed to keep it out of there. So props to her.
Props to her, and props to anybody else who managed to survive that one. Oliver Silva pulling in, so he's going to take fresh tires and fuel here. Also, DV Warhurst bringing it in. And so we're here on lap 7. You're watching VirtualRacing.Network. My name is Trevor Greenfield alongside Gary Godso. Pleasure to have you with us here on Thursday. It's a brand new fixed broadcast race that we're doing here with VirtualRacing.Network, and it's been so successful thus far. Thank you for coming over and talking with us, Jessica Sabin. So much for coming over and talking with us. PMRL, Prime Meridian Racing League Administrator Smelly Cat, thanks for stopping by. And
Diego, hey Diego.
Diego. Oh, it's Diego Pereno. Good to see you, my friend. And also Guillermo Pecorul, good to have you join us. As you can see, Adriano now bring us back to the green flag with Hugo Olsen and Rodrigo Franzoni just behind.
Yeah, back to business. Lighter workload on the track, though.
It's going to be a big workload for some of these drivers. I'll tell you somebody else who you might keep an eye on. This guy right here in fourth, the purple and black and red machine right here, Chris Willite. He's the top American running right now. He's somebody who knows how to get it done on these ovals, and he managed to survive that first lap incident, or that first round incident. I would not be surprised to see him up there challenging for this lead towards the end of this one. Also, just behind Andreas Eick, don't look now, there he is in fifth. It seems like he's attached to fifth position no matter what race I ever call him in. He's just always in fifth, but we'll see if maybe he can get up there for the race win today. Pablo Diaz-Francis, of course, getting involved in that incident that brought out the yellow. We'll see what happens due to that. But his teammate Nacho LDR, who came in second last week on Thursday, running just behind. In the meantime, up in front, Adriano wasting no time, putting down the fastest lap thus far of the race at 23.86.
Yeah, got that clean air in front of you. Might as well lay him down while you got the fresh tires. The more they get into this run, those times are going to steadily start coming down. They're already moving. We told you that 205 miles per hour was the pole position here. But when IndyCar visited here last, they were even faster back then. Scott Dixon is a track record holder at 207. So imagine that speed around this place.
Oh, my goodness. Well, any speed over 200 miles an hour, some weird things can start happening with aerodynamics and G-loading and everything else. Fortunately, not one of the things that we have to deal with in our virtual Dallara IR-18 IndyCars, but it's still extremely difficult to hold your concentration. And Adriano may have the setup right now. He may have adjusted his setup to the point where he's very comfortable and he's out here leading, but make no mistake about it, very easy to get it wrong. Even in the lead, it looks so steady, so perfect, and then just one small thing goes wrong. The tire starts sliding a little sideways. You're a little too high on the weight jacker, trying to compensate, trying to put down those fast laps, trying to get through traffic like Adriano has to do, and you could end up in the wall, spinning out, collecting half of the car. So it's an amazing thing what these drivers do have to do to keep these things pointed forward for 85 laps in a row.
Well, let's also add an additional thing that they're only going to face one time this year. They're on concrete. This is an entirely different type of surface that has a different type of adhesion that they only race on once, and that's Dover, and that's every now and then. And frankly, those races aren't very well anyway. So they're a bit of a single file pack race on a 1 mile oval. So what happens on concrete is there's no sign, there's no warning. When your car gets loose, it goes. There's really nothing to help you there. Now we see Adriano coming up to lap traffic. It looks like AJ's managed to get the car repaired and underway, probably down on power, down on speed, but he's going to try to collect those points. That's what I call the Al Unser Jr. Effort right there. I remember back when he used to race in his early days, mid-days of kart, when he was always involved in those championship races. You always saw him getting back out there trying to collect those valuable points. Every single point counts when it comes to the end of the season.
Oh, yeah. You got to get back out there. Unfortunately, AJ Musselman, Alexis Newsom, Bertrand Cordier, and DV Warhurst falling down a lap now. But if you are somebody like Alexis Newsom, Jesper Orman, who's currently in the pits, a number of these drivers have a chance at that championship, and you never know when you're going to need those extra points. You've got to get back out there, even if you're a lap down, 5 laps down, 10 laps down. It's all about trying to get the maximum amount of points at the end of the season. And again, you don't know. Is it going to come down to 3 or 5 points that I got because I was willing to ride it out in 20th place? That can be a factor when you're looking, Gary, at the end of 12 races for the official iRacing series. You don't want to be looking at losing, say, second or third place by 2 or 3 points when you know you could have stuck it out for another 10 or 20 laps.
Don't want to leave anything on the table. And speaking about leaving on the table, we got a heck of a battle for P7 right now between Nacho and Brazilian John Silva. They are the closest cars currently in contact with each other in the top 10 right now, and they are going at it as they're throwing over the tri-oval right now.
Well, LDR did it last week, got second place, and looked very convincing doing it. But Nacho with Silva in tow, and John Silva, another one of those drivers I'm very used to seeing up there in the front of these Indy Fixed races, and sometimes over in the Indy Open races as well. Quite a wiggle there.
Yeah, he's going to want to probably dial back on the weight jacker a little bit. If maybe more severe, I might have to adjust those bars. But yeah, that's kind of typical what we've seen with the cars get right up there against the wall, and then there's like a little pocket of air that forms right there, and just kind of sometimes helps a loose car even become more loose.
And you can't you really don't want anything that makes it more loose. As we see Silva perhaps trying down low on Nacho.
Well, you know, a little bit of a full send there, and he thought second of it and pulled out at the last second. But man, we just about saw a moment.
That was pretty darn close. I think he's going to reconsider how he wants to attack, and that's all part of it. When you're kind of stacked up like this, maybe get a small run on the guy in front, but you really need to be able to plan how to get that massive run so that you can actually pull off one of these passes, and it's easier said than done to plan that one out.
He's experimenting with the high side right now, trying to see if he can maybe make up the ground that way. But I don't think the high side's really rubbered in at the moment, so the low line is still the preferred line.
Well, and then it's not very far up the track to Andreas Eick. So really this battle for sixth position going on. That one at the moment. Also a little bit further back, got this battle going on. Actually seems to be dropping back a little bit more. Thomas Christensen up 3 spots today, just in front of Chris Schreiber. And Chris Schreiber there doing what he can to try to pass Christensen, who himself has had a number of great races as of late.
Still a big battle for P7 and Nate right there between Nacho, LDR, and Silva. Again, it looked like Nacho had to really roll out of the throttle entering one, and Silva almost ended up in the gearbox. So this is still your tightest battle on the racetrack. But I do want to give some shouts out. P12, Marcel Gagne, up 11 spots. I know that the incident at the end or at the beginning kind of helps you with that improvement, but you know what? You still have to miss him in order to get to where you are now. So good on him. Also P10 for McQuarrie, good on him as well.
Yeah, these are some drivers absolutely taking advantage of the fact that you can be clean and finish in the top of these races. You don't really even have to necessarily pass too many cars. Sometimes you just keep it clean and the rest of the cars do the wrecking around you. Unfortunately, that big one in that first stint.
That's what I always say, is that the easiest passes are the passes when the cars are in the pits. Actually, I had my Lionheart debut on Monday. I started P29, shotgun on the field. That was the plan. Here we go, side by side with Nacho and Silva this time through one. This time looks like, and Nacho goes up a little bit, and looks like he almost conceded the position. We'll see. Nope, he's going to go look down underneath them, try to get that position back.
Well, he's got him.
That's right across the nose.
Right across the nose. It's getting a little chippy now. You really don't know, Gary. Some of these, you know how it can get out there sometimes. The flares start coming up, the little heat under the collar starts happening, and you want that position back. I think Nacho, he did so well last week. I think anything better than a podium would seem like not what he wants as results for this week. So we'll see whether Nacho can challenge again. But this is what Silva does. I've seen Silva do this so much, where he comes on strong halfway into the stint, really knows how to work the weight jacker and the ARBs. So watch for Silva maybe to continue to make a run forward. His next stop would be Andreas Eick, who's not very far ahead. And Eick is right exactly where he qualified in 6th. I tell you who's doing quite well. Pablo Francis, no matter how you viewed that incident before, he's been keeping it clean thus far since then. And he is up 5 spots on the day. So Pablo having a good day for himself.
I bet you he's definitely going to want to mind his P's and Q's going forward. Like I said, this is a small IndyCar community. And, well, when people start talking, names start flying, and you don't want to get a bad reputation. And I'm positive that he wasn't out there to try to cause that. But it happens. When you get these cars and they're as close as they are in the aero push, I would be guilty if I haven't been, I'd be lying if I haven't been guilty of a wreck myself. So I'm sure he's going to be extra careful going forward in this race.
You bet. And, again, this is really tight quarters. It's difficult. It is very difficult to pull off every pass and do it successfully. It's easy to be critical when you're outside the cockpit, but try doing it at 200 plus miles an hour. It is not simple. And sometimes you do make a mistake, but at the same time, there is a lot of understanding from other drivers when it's a simple mistake, and that's what part of building a reputation in the community is all about. When you get known as a clean racer, that people can race you. If you happen to make a mistake, I think people do cut you a little bit of a hall pass. And hopefully all of these drivers know that by now. This is the top split. Adriano here with 6,085 I rating. These drivers, I mean, this is the top split, and these drivers did not get here on accident.
It looks like Pinheiro is coming up on the lap traffic here soon. Actually, it looks like, let's see, who's he coming up on? Is that the silent assassin, Dave Stedman, is still on the track right there, and he's about 6 seconds. So that's the last car, I believe the last car in the lead lap.
Absolutely. Dave Stedman, last car on the lead lap. And lucky to get that at the rate that Pinheiro is putting in here. We're all the way now coming up on lap 37, or we are on lap 37. This one is sneaking up on halfway very, very quickly as we actually, now that we got past the initial caution, we were able to kind of settle into a little bit more of a green flag run here.
Yeah, close, and we're rapidly closing in on that only round of pit stops, that the key pit stops that will take us to the finish that we'll see here. I'm expecting to probably see people stop here between 45 and 50. You can go as far as 60, but we hear those that try to stay on 60. You lose so much time on those bad tires that you will probably lose position to the guys that have fresher tires and stopped earlier. So you might see a lot of people stopping early. And also, those are quicker stops when you stop early because that's less you have to fill the tank.
That is a great point, and it also depends if you're one of these drivers who did not stop after that first caution, and you do decide to come in for your green flag stop, and then another caution comes out. That can change some things, or perhaps if you haven't made your stop yet and other drivers have already made their green flag stop, you can really get screwed over. As we saw Alexis Newsom last week, she had great strategy. She was running up in the front in second place and had a chance at the win, and then cautions falling at the time that they did really messed up her strategy, trapping her a lap down.
And the Nikkei Racing team as well, they had two cars I think get impacted by that, so they were racing up at the front with the leaders. If you remember, that kind of contributed to where we had our WWE moment during the interview, where you had some upset drivers not liking what was going on there. And I believe Hugo Olsen might have been almost involved in that one. He's kind of cruising right now in P2 all by himself, just steadily making laps, and steadily he's just outside of that draft window, the draft envelope to Pinheiro, but he's got mostly clean track around him, and he's just kind of cruising in. So we'll see. Maybe he might be one of the first people to try to do a pit stop and try to jump Pinheiro with the new tires.
You bet. It's all a strategy game. Where do you set your chips on? Is it on 0? Is it on black? Is it on red? Is it on 18? What's your lucky number, Gary, that you want to pick? Because you can undercut, you can overcut, you have so many different options here, and I think, again, with the yellow flags on ovals, that's something that can play a major factor. It's something you can kind of sense, too. Are drivers getting a little dangerous? Is 2 or 3 drivers getting close together? Maybe there will be a caution in the next few laps. We've got some really cool battles going on right now on the track. Let's take a look.
9th and 10th looks pretty tight.
Yeah, absolutely. This battle here, Chris Schreiber and Aaron McQuarrie, both of these drivers, again, a ton of spots. 11 spots for Schreiber, and McQuarrie 9 spots already. So these drivers really hanging onto their cars and making it work. Just behind, we've got Thomas Christensen, who's got about a second lead for the Three Crowns team over Jim Wallen. That's for 11 spots. Jim Wallen now up 10 spots on the day as well, so he's having a great run. And then just a little bit further back, it's just a second back to Marcel Gagne, who himself up 10 spots on the day. Then we get to Oliver Silva, who was caught up in that incident early on, but actually retaining on the lead lap. So Silva still has a chance at this one. I think he may be a little slower, though. I'm seeing 24.59 last time by, and the leaders are doing about 24.1s and 24.2s. So I don't know if Silva can turn this one around. And, of course, D.B. Warhurst here, one of actually the first driver a lap down. So just to recap, we're now over halfway. You're watching VirtualRacing.Network's live uninterrupted coverage of the iRacing NTT IndyCar Series FIXED. And it's round 2 from Nashville Super Speedway. It's been a fun race so far. Unfortunately, a big incident early on affected most of the field, taking out numerous race-winning, race-contending drivers. And so they're having to play catch-up while Adriano Pinero and Hugo Olsen are now 1-2 just as they started. But I'll tell you what, this guy right here, Rodrigo Franzoni, you talk about a driver who's holding his own. You know, Hugo Olsen, 5,166 I rating, just behind Franzoni, 5336 for Chris Willite. Rodrigo Franzoni just has 2,648 I rating in ovals, but he's hanging with the leaders. He's currently in that podium slot in third, and he's looking pretty good today, Gary.
Hey, you know what that is? That's that Brazilian magic. I tell you, the Brazilians have a great reputation here in real life at the Nashville Super Speedway. Gilda Ferrin won in 03, Tony Kanaan won in 04. And then on the Indy Lights side of things, you have Diego Madeiros in 2004, Jamie Camara in 2005, and Anna Beatrice. Yes, we had a female winner in 2008. And then it's all Brazilians. They have a great reputation here and also a growing reputation in oval racing.
Maybe it's the hot wings.
I don't know. I can't be any hotter than the Indian hot wings, but
they got some spicy stuff in Brazil too.
But I'm always open to the Brazilian steakhouses. Those are great.
There you go. Now, if you can have a Brazilian steakhouse in your stay in Nashville, you're on to something. And that is
right.
that is quite interesting.
So Pinero is actually now. I was wanted to point out he is in the draft envelope of the tail end of the lead lap. This is definitely impacting his run. His speeds have definitely come down. And that's it. He chose it. He chose right there. I'm going to pit. I'm going to right there at lap 52. So right where I said we will probably have the first of the pit stops. He's like, I see this traffic. I don't want to get in it. I'm going to pit, get freshies on, get a full tank of gas, and finish this race up.
Absolutely brilliant decision by Pinero to come down pit road. That does leave Hugo Olsen out there in first for Power Slide Motorsports. Great to have their representation here on our Thursday broadcast. And Hugo is somebody I covered in, he's been in so many different races, in so many different categories. But in the IndyCar iRacing series, he has been a fantastic force. He's going to finish in the top 10 in the championship, and at one point was leading the championship there as well, just to give you an idea of his caliber. As you said, Nacho LDR now on pit road. Did it look like he got on safely, Gary?
It looks like he did, and I'm surprised at the number of other drivers that have not taken the early hint here. I was thinking that at that lap after Pinero pitted, I thought you would see a whole bunch of other people pit, and it's kind of slow. I think people are kind of gambling that I'm going to go the full distance and see if I can catch a yellow now.
Well, as we take a look, it is still Hugo Olsen.
Big gap of cars, right? I'm sorry, a big gap of cars coming off of turn 3. I think we might have a mix of old tires and new tires starting to impact this battle right now, and also probably some damaged cars.
And several cars coming into the pits there.
McQuarrie, I think McQuarrie might have been trying to get down on pit road or something and clip the apron. He is moving really slow. Something happened. Or he's trying to make a number. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't have an off track from him that's shown in our notes. But he is possibly trying to make that number as Franzoni. No, somebody just dove into the pits. I think it was Gagne, and then Gagne has now, he spun on pit road.
Oh, no.
and he's got it going again, but he spun out of the top 10. Now, actually, he's in 10th, but he will fall a little bit further down.
McQuarrie's pitting. He must have been trying to make a number. He was turning 27s while everyone else is turning 25s and 24s around him. And I really started piling people up around turn 3 when I think we had some used tires, new tires, and people coming off the pit road. It was kind of a recipe for disaster, but he apparently is trying to hit a number.
Well, Chris Willite, McQuarrie on pit road, Franzoni still on pit road, now leaving. And I think that is going to possibly put Franzoni a lap down. We'll have to see when everything circles back around.
Now, look at your leader real quick. Just the car on the high side went right around him. That was Silva. That was with new tires. That's how far he's off the pace.
My goodness. So, continuing to change here very, very quickly. We've got Hugo Olsen still in the lead over Andreas Eick in second. Thomas Christensen now inheriting third, having not stopped yet. None of those top 3 have stopped yet.
They are 2 seconds a lap slower than the guys that just stopped to get tires right there at lap 52.
That is something else. Thomas Christensen last time by 25:12. Hugo a 24:64, Thomas a 25:06. These two teammates and drivers just coming out of the pits. Is that Chris Schreiber, 23.99. So indeed, a second a lap faster for many of these drivers on fresher tires. This is going to be very interesting tracking this strategy. As Hugo Olsen now having to deal with a ton of traffic out there.
And if you look 2 cars behind him, there's Nacho LDR, and he's on freshies, and he is going to tear him 3 wide going into turn 3.
My goodness.
If I have used tires, I would not be wanting to see that situation. Wisely cuts down to the bottom, but they're not. Oh my gosh, look at that! Look at that gaggle. It's almost like a pace lap at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 3 wide, 2x2. Here comes Nacho LDR. He's broken clear.
Unfortunately for LDR, he is a lap down to the leader, Olsen. But Olsen, it does not seem to want to take that undercut strategy. There he's finally barreling through 2 cars to make his way through. And LDR has caught up a lot of speed on him with just in this last lap having Hugo Olsen having to fight through traffic. And it's not over yet. Hugo's still up there in the front having to get through traffic. I think we're seeing a lot of drivers not willing to concede that lap position very easily, knowing they still may be in the race. But so far,
Nacho was so fast in the center of the corner there.
And Christensen now getting down onto pit road. Looked like he just barely made it. Kind of a big lockup, though, coming down onto the road. Hugo is the only driver besides Christensen who has now pitted. But Hugo has not yet pitted. Only driver to do so. And Jim Wallen now shown in second. Last time he pitted was on lap 4. Oliver Silva last pitted on lap 6. So those 3 drivers having pitted very, very early or not having pitted at all. Pinero.
I'm sorry, I'm just watching our leader right here, and he is just struggling mightily. Almost hit the wall. Here he's down. Now he's pitting. He's coming off the banking. See if he can get that slowed down. He's going to have some wasted tires on there. Okay, he gets it slowed down, so he is safely on the pit road. Now, let's see where he comes out. I get you. I'm going to guess, and I'll tell you right now, it's not going to be second place. I will tell you right now.
He lost too much speed on the overcut there, I think.
Yep.
But he was doing his best to stay out there in the event in the event of caution, and in the event that it can play into his favor. But we'll see. We've got the track map up on the screen so you can follow your favorite driver where they are by their initials. And we watch Hugo exiting the pits. Now we've got Jim Wall and Oliver Silva still not having pitted since their early pit stops. They should be in any moment. But Pinero did slide by, and Hugo Olsen now in second place. Virtual on the track by about 7 seconds behind Pinero. So Pinero having a great round of pit stops there, pulling out 7 seconds over second place. But I tell you what, it is going to work out okay, I think, for Hugo Olsen after all.
I am not quite sure what strategy that Varhurst is on. He's in the Miller. Now he's pitting. He's in that. I think he was trying to pit last lap and couldn't make it down, but he's in the Miller All-American Danny Sullivan throwback, and he is finally on the pit road. He has been on 62-lap run, so he's shaking the car. I think he's out of gas.
He may be trying to signal that he is out of gas. He may have run that one a bit too far. But if you are going to run out of gas, that's the place to do it. Just on your flight path entry down there to your pit stall. So Warhurst heads back out. Will fall down a lap. And at the front, it's Jim Wallen, who's at the moment shown up 21 positions, but there he bails into the pits.
Yeah, and he's opting to use the pit entry road. I don't know if it's any faster or not. He probably thought it might be safer just to take that road, and he will concede the lead with, we're now 15 laps to go, and Adriano is back in the lead.
Back to the lead, and no problem doing it. His best lap time at 23:73. I guess we could get the gap times up there. That might be a little bit more useful. Best lap time at 23:73. Last lap at 24:20. So not, those new tires starting to come off already. And for example, Hugo Olsen at 23:88 behind. So you remember when Hugo first came out, he was 7 seconds back. Now that gap is down to 5 seconds. With Hugo being able to have those slightly fresher tires, 15-lap newer tires.
Right, and that was a bit of the gamble. He wasn't going to come out in the lead. He probably was going to come down further in the order, but he's going to come out with new tires and lighter. That's the key thing, lighter. And he's going to have a ton of grip, and he doesn't have much traffic in front of him. He does have Wilhite, who's had a bit of a rough race. He's down to 14th, but Wilhite separates him and P1 by about 5 seconds, so we'll see if he can run him down here. We're about 10 laps to go. Last time by Pinheiro 24.1, and Hugo this time by I think a 23.79, so he is considerably faster.
Absolutely. That was Hugo's best lap of the race, almost matching Pinheiro's fast lap of the race. So Hugo putting in some fast laps here, trying to track down the Brazilian superstar. And we'll see if he can do it. Down to 4.2 seconds. So Hugo got 10 laps to go. Can he possibly pull it out? He's possibly has the pace to do it.
Hugo with a 222 miles per hour trap speed at the end of the back straight. So 222 on a 1.3 mile oval.
Whew. That's cooking. You can feel it when it goes faster. That's for sure. When you're moving in these cars and you're going fast, even just 1 mile an hour faster into a corner, you can tell it. That's for sure. But 3.73 seconds now is the gap, and just 9 laps to go. Hugo Olsen on a tear, trying to come forward. Indeed, clean racetrack for both Adriano and Hugo at the moment. So these two trying to put in their absolute fastest laps at this moment. I don't think Adriano now dropping it down to 24.20 now that he has he has somewhat of a clear track and is not working through lap cars. But Olsen doing the same, pouring the coal to the fire. 23.78 last time by, and just before that he did a 23.79. Hugo Olsen, fastest of his lap, personal best lap of the race. Let's put it that way. His fastest lap.
He really let it hang out because he almost made contact with the turn 2 wall on exit there. So he is letting everything fly, throwing caution to the wind. Forget discretion and valor. I'm going for it. Now to 2.8. I'm telling you right now, Pinheiro is not really going to get any faster in open air by himself. So he is slowly getting run in. And this kind of like 82 Indy 500 when you got Mears tracking down John Cock in the closing laps.
Shades of 82, and that's a good place to be. It's none other than Hugo Olsen chasing down Adriano Pinheiro, and if you told me ahead of time that would have been what we would find, I wouldn't have thought that was crazy at all. These are two amazingly experienced IndyCar iRacing drivers, and it's so awesome to see them in battle like this. Will it be Hugo Olsen, 4 laps to go, or will it be Adriano Pinero? Could it be Pablo Francis, who inherits the lead after these two tangle? We have no idea what's going to happen, but we're along for the ride, and so are you. Thanks for joining us here on VirtualRacing.Network. 4 laps to go, Gary. It could be anybody here. Nacho LDR, meanwhile, has crept back into the top 5. Andreas Ike sitting right around the top 5 there in 7th. Chris Scheiber making it into 6th place at the moment, and John Silva, part of that Brazilian juggernaut that has formed at the front of iRacing IndyCars, up there in 4th place as well. So just 3 to go. I don't know. Can it be Hugo Olsen? Will he do it? It's 23:77 last time by. He's putting in faster and faster laps each time. 2 laps to go.
15 lap fresher tires he has. So like I said, there's going to be a fall off point. He's not quite there yet. But definitely Pinero is beyond the fall-off point, and he's just kind of hanging on. He might have enough time gap advantage that he can make it without getting run down.
Well, this is it. Last lap. Will it be Adriano Pinero, who's got a 1.2 second gap? I think it has to be. It's just a little too much. As he heads through 3 and 4, it's just a little too much, and I think that he's going to hold on to just under a 1 second gap. It's Adriano Pinero with the 2nd round here at Nashville Super Speedway, your winner, with Hugo Olsen there in 2nd, and Pablo Francis unofficially in 3rd. This is unofficial, of course.
Do you think he would have been able to reel him in if he pitted 2 laps sooner?
You know, the overcut strategy is a difficult one to call. I would say, looking at the way that he got that close at the end, you'd have to think that there might be something to that, because he had speed definitely on Adriano there at the end. And well, I don't know if we'll get a chance to talk with Hugo. I sure hope so. I hope we get a chance to talk with somebody from the podium. But in the meantime, Gary, it was an awesome race. What an incredible race here from Nashville. We've just been hearing through this week that people were struggling with tires and everything, but it worked in our favor for entertainment as we saw Hugo Olsen just haul the mail and almost eclipse about a 7-second deficit in the last stint. That was something else from Hugo.
Yeah, he left nothing on the racetrack, obviously, as he was getting ready to tear down some walls, obviously, on that fast lap that he had. Excellent effort, brilliant effort on his. I would think that he's probably going to go back and think about maybe pitting a little bit earlier next time. I don't know, but still, P2 with this particular group, he's got himself an IR rating of a plus 62 in this race. I'd take that.
You take it. I'd take it.
I don't know anybody else that wouldn't take it. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
We'd all say that, but if I was in the hunt for the championship, you know how it gets. You get your head down and you say, I got 2nd, darn it, I wanted 1st. Either way, there's only one driver that can finish 1st, and he was absolutely amazingly impressive today. Adriano Pinero, the Brazilian, bringing it home in a commanding fashion, though I do have to say there at the very end, I would have been worried if I were Adriano. I'd love to know more about what was going on there in those last laps, but nevertheless, you don't have to win by a mile. Winning by just 0.97 seconds is enough. Hugo Olsen bringing it home in 2nd. He had a frustrating race last week. Great to see him be able to actually get in the finish today the way that he would want, and boy, was it close there at the end. That was a thriller. It got so close. That could have been a photo finish, but nevertheless, one for the ages for Hugo for sure. And in 3rd, Pablo Francis for the Necky Racing team. John Silva in 4th, Nacho LDR 5th, Chris Scheiber in 6th, Andreas Ike 7th, Aaron McQuarrie in 8th, Dave Stedman 9th, Jim Wallen in 10th. Oliver Silva rebounds after that earlier incident to come home in 11th. Again, we talked about points at the end of the season. That could be an important race that he managed to climb back to 11th. You just have to watch for that kind of stuff. Rodrigo Franzoni, he was racing up in the top 3 there, unfortunately getting caught out at the end. 12th position for him. Chris Willite again getting caught out. Marcel Gagné and Bertrand Cordier, as well as Alexis Newsom. Another difficult race for Alexis, unfortunately, here in the Fixed Series. D.V. Warhurst in 17th, Thomas Christensen in 18th, and you just know that is not how any of those drivers, I know them quite well by this point, and I know that that is not what they, that's not how they want to start a season. That's not really how anybody wants to start the season. Nevertheless, you got to pick up your head next week and do it all over again, Gary, because this was, and even Jesper Orman, last week's 3rd place finisher, finishing in 23rd. It can happen to anybody. You have a difficult race. Again, you just got to rebound and bring it back next week.
Yeah, I bet a lot of these guys that had the bad start there, they're already planning for the 6:15 start. They want to make that back up and gain all that IR and everything. I do want to give a couple shouts. Chris Schreiber was your hard charger. He went up plus 14, started 20th. Another shout out to the silent assassin Dave Stedman there, P9. He did a good job. Jim Wallen, he came from pretty deep in the field, led some laps. Maybe if he would have pitted a little bit earlier, he might have maybe stayed in the lead lap. Don't know, but he still finished 10th. That's a good day for him. I think some guys threw the dice and came out ahead a little bit in this race. So 2 races in, and now we head to Legacy Phoenix, and we're seeing the version of Phoenix that God intended to be raced on. And these guys are going to have a great time because it's a tight track at one end. It's 2 lanes at the other end. It's going to be a fun time next week hitting Phoenix in the original configuration.
Well, we have an opportunity, and I hear you, Gary. The original Phoenix, it's a split in how people feel about Phoenix.
I know.
Some love the new one, some love the old one. But no matter how you feel about it, it's cool to see the old school Phoenix Oval, where so many great IndyCar races have happened over the years, and a great chance for all of these drivers to tack their name onto that list as well. I do want to send a couple more shout outs to the YouTube chat room. Again, Sam Blackwood stopping by, PMRL driver, Prime Meridian Racing League. And as I mentioned before, Jessica Sabin stopping by. She's the admin for the Prime Meridian Racing League, and they're going to be starting their 2nd season here in October. So if you want to check that out, they run on Wednesdays about this same time. And so give them a shout over on iRacing.com, official PMRL over on Twitter. Thanks for stopping by, Jessica. By the way, we do have Pablo Diaz joining us, and this will give Pablo a chance for us to hear his side of the story. Let me see if I can grab Pablo here. There we go. And can you hear me there, Pablo?
Hey, what's up, guys? Good night.
Hey, Pablo.
Hey, Pablo. So we were watching. You had a solid race throughout. Unfortunately, you got caught up in that early incident. Can you maybe take us through what happened early on in the incident that brought out the yellow?
Well, I was trying to overtake AA, and unfortunately, my car went a bit high. I didn't expect that he went a bit low. I mean, a bit slow than me, and I'm so sorry for that. I hit him on the rear, and he spun. Luckily, I managed to avoid him, but well, I was trying to go as fast as I can because I did a really bad qualifying. I knew that I had a good lap for starting at least on P2 or P3, maybe P1 if it was a good lap, but I messed up on turn 3 and 4. And I had to go as fast as I can because the first lap is really important to overtake everybody because we are all too close and it's easier. That's unfortunate. We have that incident there.
Very unfortunate to have the incident. Nevertheless, the top finisher here for Necky Racing, that's got to feel good to represent the team. It was kind of a mixed up day. Some of the Mass Devils drivers getting caught to the back, and then Necky Racing drivers getting caught in the back. Yet you kept it clean after that incident. You had no more problems. So it must feel good for you in the championship to start your way this way in this season. And you should be looking pretty good in the points after the end of today.
Yeah, to be honest, it wasn't that clear after the yellow came out again. I mean, the green came out again, because when I tried to join the pit, I I messed up and I have to cancel my try, and I lost like 5 seconds or something like that. You can watch it on the replay.
Oh
I don't
my.
know exactly the the lap, and I just was waiting for the yellow, and when I have no more fuel, I tried to pit again, and I almost messed up again. But luckily, I managed to to pit correctly. Yeah, it's a very good position, P3. Yeah, we can be happy.
Well, never. It's one of those things, Pablo, and you never know how you're going to get there. You don't know what kind of a race you're going to end up with, or where the cautions are going to fall. How are you going to practice for next week? Are you taking this championship seriously, being in this hunt for the championship? Are you staying up extra nights to practice and do laps? How are you working with Neki Racing? How are your team practices?
Yeah, I'm trying to win the championship, or at least finish at the highest position I can. Well, for the next week, it's a really difficult track again. Phoenix, if I don't miss. Yeah, another track that will be really important, the qualifying again. Yeah, we have to practice more and be more patient, maybe.
Absolutely. Well, if you'd like to, you feel free to say some words in your own language for the audience.
Bueno, muchas gracias a mis compañeros del Neki, que soy unos máquinas y spoteando como siempre. Un besazo. That's all.
All right. Well, it was a fantastic job today, coming home third, and we'll look forward to seeing you at Phoenix. Good luck with the rest of your season, Pablo.
Thank you, guys, and sorry again for all the people get collected on the first wreck.
Will happen. It'll probably be somebody else's turn next week.
Yeah.
Things happen. It's so close out there. It's so difficult to read when somebody's coming down in front of you, or when you're going to carry a little bit too much speed. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I mean, sometimes you just get caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. It's difficult to bail out. Nevertheless, third place does it again. It can be an accident, and you survive and you end up with third. However you have to do it. You ended up third at a very high strength of field race, and it's great to have you here, Pablo. We'll see you next week.
See ya, guys. See ya next week.
So, again, great having Pablo Francis join us here.
Hugo.
And, oh, did we get Hugo?
Hugo is in the lounge.
Hugo is in the building. Well, let's see if we can drag Hugo over here as well. And, he's muted, and now he's off mute. Hey, Hugo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, Hugo, great to have you here for the interview afterwards, live on VirtualRacing.Network. Hugo Olsen, second place today, a hell of a race by you, and what a finish. My goodness. Can you just take us through take us through the whole race, but especially close us in on the very end there as you're approaching Adriano?
Yeah, so I thought before the race that I don't want to get caught out by yellow by pitting early. So my plan through the race was to keep the gap to Adriano relatively close, like within 2 seconds, to just be within that draft range, and just play around with the fuel maps to keep that gap the same, and try to take care of my front right tire. And then we got close to him pitting. I put the fuel mixture back and just tried to set some good in laps. And my whole thought was that I wasn't going to be able to pass him with close to equal tires. So I had to try something different, and it almost paid off there.
It almost paid off. It was so close. Gary and I were trying to do the numbers and see whether you had enough time to make it. Did you think, you were seeing the time reeling off, and it's hard to get that much time per lap. If you're in second and you're chasing down the leader by a half a second a lap, that's pretty amazing stuff. I would think you were pretty excited, thinking maybe I can pull this one off. Did anything happen in the last couple of laps that you could have squeezed out like another couple of tenths and gotten that win? Because it was so close.
Yeah, I was quite aggressive on the tools, so the car was a bit squirrely, but I tried to give it all I had and used up all the tires at the end. But yeah, just being a bit unlucky with the traffic. If he would have gotten held up, it could have ended the other way. But yeah, it was fun.
A lot of fun, and you're going to end up great in the points after this one. Of course, you had a difficult day last week on Thursday, getting collected pretty much in some contact that wasn't your doing. But turning it around this week, getting second, looking strong, like you could take first. I mean, you're looking like the start of the IndyCar iRacing series as far as that season went, going on a tear and getting some race wins. Hugo, you've got a good championship season lining up here for season 4. Are you, are you taking this extra seriously for the Fixed Championship? I know you've got Open and you've got leagues and things like that to focus on. Is this maybe a championship that's now coming under your radar as something you'll pour some time into?
As of right now, I'm not sure. Like, if I have time on Thursdays, I think I'll show up. But I have like a NASCAR league, like Thursdays too before this, but it's only like half of the Thursdays. Like, I'm not sure how you say it in English, but so if I have time, I'll try to be here. And right now, I don't like commit to that many leagues or not too much in Open, so it would be fun to like commit more to this.
For sure. And again, being right up there at the top and us doing the Thursday broadcast, it's bringing some high strength. The field's on Thursday. So if this is a time that you can meet, or anybody out there listening, that this is a good time for them, it's something new that hopefully gives people like yourself who can race right now a chance at the championship. So hopefully you do come back next week for Legacy Phoenix. I know that's a legendary circuit. Seems like a track where you might do well on. And in the meantime, though, fantastic job today. You gave us a thrill there at the very end. It was so much fun to watch, Hugo. Absolutely. Congratulations on your second place.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think Phoenix will suit me good. Like, I like these more technical tracks where you have to lift and work with the car.
I completely agree. I love it myself. I like that kind of car, or that kind of track, gateway, very similar, non-flat out. But then again, hey, if you can get second at a track like this, it's kind of like, you take the results, I guess, as you can get them, first, second, or third. But, Hugo, I think next week we're going to be headed to Phoenix. It's a chance for all of us and many others to rebound. So we'll see if you show up, and I hope that you do, because you're an exciting guy to watch. So we'll see you next week, man.
Yeah, see you. Thanks.
Thanks, Hugo. So Hugo Olsen stopping by with Gary Godso here in the booth with me still. Gary, that was fun. I didn't expect Hugo would drop in and give us his take, but great to have him, and we'll look forward to seeing all these competitors next week at Phoenix, one of your favorite tracks in the world.
I was just informed by my director that actually it is the new Phoenix. It's Legacy Charlotte we're going to. I don't know why they did that. But it's going to be, actually, let's talk about just for a little bit though. It's the new one, which is the one I don't like, but it's going to be a night race. So we're going to see some very, very high speeds going on there. We've seen 2 races so far on nearly identical tracks, mile and a third, mile and a half, right in the middle of the afternoon, about 100-degree track temperature. We're not going to see that in Phoenix. I just hope they don't allow them to cut through that dog leg. That just looks awful for these cars to do something like that. But we'll talk about Phoenix history when we're there. It's actually one of the longest tenured IndyCar tracks in the continental United States. IndyCar, USAC, CART, you name it, has been visiting there since the 50s and 60s. And then we head that, and that's the first of 3 short ovals that we have this season. And then we go right back to a mile and a half cookie cutter with Charlotte in week 4. But the short trackers are going to show up next week, and let's see what they can do.
I think it's going to be a thrill next week, and if this week brought any sort of excitement as far as close racing, next week should be even closer because it's a tighter racetrack. Should be a lot of fun. I'll look forward to seeing you again next week, Gary, and Yeah, again, this was just, this was a preview, I think, on some of the stuff that we're going to see for the rest of this season, as of course Adriano Penaru taking this one, no problem. Second place goes to Hugo Olsen, and third to Pablo Francis. I just want to say thank you again to everybody dropping by YouTube chat room and subscribing, liking this video. It'll get you more notifications, and you'll know about all of the upcoming races, including tomorrow's IndyCar iRacing Series race from Long Beach, right alongside the real life series. You want to tune in, and again, if you subscribe to the channel, you get that notification for tomorrow. And then Sunday as well, we'll be having the US IndyCar League, as always, right here on VirtualRacing.Network. Gary, are you headed out to the track?
No, I'm just we got a great IndyCar championship that's going to be decided this weekend with a new group of drivers. It's kind of fresh drivers, and this is the real IndyCar series. So I'm just looking forward to Long Beach for real for the IndyCar series. It's a great time to be an IndyCar fan, and I'm glad everyone from the European continent are starting to jump on and find this form of auto racing as an alternative to Formula One, as a positive alternative to Formula One. So hey, welcome one, welcome all, and we're going to have a great week next week when we're going to decide, or actually this weekend when we decide a champion.
I can't wait. That'll all be done by the time we make it back on air for this race again next week, but we'll have something else to talk about. In the meantime, it has been great to be with you here, Gary, and I look forward to seeing you again next week, again from the new Phoenix Raceway, not old Phoenix, but new Phoenix. So we'll have to come around, see if we can figure out ways to enjoy the new Phoenix for next week. In the meantime, it's been a great race. Thanks so much, Gary. Thanks everybody for joining us on YouTube chat, and we will see you again next week. So until then, for now, bye-bye, everybody.
Good night.